Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mark Parham. I'm an entrepreneur and property investor, and in this video we're talking about my biggest mistake when it comes to investments. Now, before we get into the video, if you could do me the favour of subscribing and smashing that like button, that would really help me out with the algorithm. And as I've said before, if anybody's interested in having a one-to-one consultation or conversation with me until I get to 1,000 subscribers, if you check in the description, there'll be an email address. If you pop an email through to that, you can have a conversation with me and we can talk about any questions you might have. So let's get into the video and let's talk about my biggest mistake when it comes to property, well, when it comes to investing in general. And I have to say my number one mistake would be not starting early enough. Now, I didn't start investing until I was nearly 30 to be honest. I bought my first property at 28. So, you know, if you want to call that an investment, then that was my first investment. But until I got serious was really 35. I'm now 38. So, you know, only 3 years ago did I really start investing. And I just think back to what I could have achieved if I had remortgaged and moved money around earlier on. So I use the example of 2010. When I purchased my first property for $175,000. Well, by 2012, that property was worth $200,000. And we had also paid down a bit of money in there. We could have easily got £20,000 to £30,000 out, and we could have bought, I know at the time because we were looking, a flat in Erith, and we could have bought that for $105,000. It was a 2-bed. And I know this well because I was advising at the time my brother-in-law to buy a flat in Erith for $105,000 overlooking the river. These same flats today, $250,000, $300,000 for the penthouse. So, you know, they've doubled over that period of time. And we could have afforded that. We could have refinanced out of here, we could have used that as a deposit, and we could have bought that. And then by 2014, this one would have been worth $250,000. There's another $50,000 for us to get, and this would have been worth $125,000, and there's $20,000 for us to get there, and suddenly we've got £70,000 more. And you can see where I'm going with this, can't you? There was so much money left on the table all the way through my investing journey, because I didn't pick this up till 2018. That's a long time. And I just wish I'd started earlier. The other thing that I could have done earlier on would be, if I couldn't have afforded the flat in Erith, for example, and I could have refinanced from here, is I could have bought in cheaper areas. And again, I didn't sort of understand leveraging other people's time and leveraging other people's experience. I could have easily bought in Sheffield. This is somewhere where we purchase at the moment. We buy in Northamptonshire. We buy in Birmingham. And all these places, these were all, between those periods, they were all sub 100k for a 3-bed. And now, you know, you won't get a 3-bed in Sheffield for under 100k. You won't get it anywhere near in Northampton. Birmingham, you've got to be joking. It's more like 185 to 200,000 now. So, you know, again, if we had a problem with buying the flats in Erith or couldn't have afforded that, we could have gone to cheaper areas, we could have outsourced all the management, we could have outsourced all the lettings, we could have done everything outsourced. And again, I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time. So if you're talking about my biggest mistake, I would say my biggest mistake wasn't starting early enough. My second biggest mistake wasn't using other people's experience and wasn't allowing other people to do all the work for me. And my third biggest mistake would have been not purchasing in a limited company. Now, for me, a limited company was extremely important, and I didn't know at the time how important that was. In fact, at the moment, I've got 6 properties that we own outside of a limited company, and unfortunately, those 6 are about £1.5 million worth. So it would be an awful expensive exercise to move those into a limited company wrapper because we have to pay stamp duty. So unfortunately, the benefits are outweighed by the negatives in this instance, but knowing what I know now, I would go back in time, put all of my companies all my properties in a limited company, and that would have safeguarded me from Section 24. And if you don't know about Section 24, I'm going to do another video on it, but it's essentially a way of the government taxing you not only on the profit that you make from your properties in your personal name, but also on the mortgage interest repayments, which for me is crazy. I don't know any other business expense where interest, which is a legitimate expense, is not counted as an expense. So I personally think it's crazy, but that is the rules. And if you have a limited company, you completely circumvent those rules. So those are my 3 biggest mistakes. Some might say not learning to write was a big mistake, especially given now I'm working on a whiteboard. But why don't you tell me what your biggest mistakes were? If you drop them down in the comments, or if indeed you'd like to have a conversation about your biggest mistakes, you can always email me, as I've said in the description. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you would like to subscribe, please do. Please smash that like button. As I said, it would help me out with the algorithm, and we'll see you again soon.